standing ovation. But, that was good enough. Happy. Hope you're happy. Well, after months and months of anticipation and waiting and planning, we're finally here. I am officiating my first wedding. I know, I told you guys I had done several. That was a lie. Perhaps almost as importantly today, we're here for the legal recognition of the relationship between Calivator Mackerel Penna and Billington Wainsworth Curlin, better known to you guys as Bill and Kelly, or to my daughters as Scooty Scoot and Mackie. These are two of the bravest and wisest people I know. And I didn't really realize that until they asked me to officiate their wedding. But they really are. And I am very honored to be here today to make this B-I-L-L into my B-I-L, my brother-in-law. So, it's probably my best material right there, so downhill from here, guys. So anyways, I've broken this intro up into a couple sections. That was the intro. Next section is the things I like about Bill. So Bill, get ready.
Listen up.
One of my favorite things about Bill is just his sense of humor. And he seems to understand my sense of humor, or does a really good job of pretending he does. Which is not easy to do either way. And there's a story I told last night, but it's one of my favorite stories about Bill and really about people in general. We were at a party for my other sister's wedding, and we didn't really know anybody. We were up in Milwaukee. It was in my brother-in-law's house up in Milwaukee. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in, and all the people there, they start going, "Oh, look at Roy's here. This is great. Hey, Roy, you're here." And I'm standing back here like this. I don't know Roy. So then Bill comes up to me very quietly and goes, "Roy's here." Most of you guys don't probably understand why that's so funny, but I was talking about that for the next week. So Bill just has a tremendous sense of humor. The other thing that is very obvious about Bill from the get-go is that he's very likable, very easy to be around, and my kids love him. It's kind of scary. They know when Bill's coming over, when Scooty Scoot's coming over. It's a special occasion. And I don't know what he did, but they're more excited to see Scoots than they are to see their old dad sometimes. So, automatically that's kind of a telltale sign for me that somebody's a good person. If my kids like you, you get a free pass. If my kids don't like you, another story. We'll talk about that later. The last and most important thing about Bill, though, is I think, not just from something I've witnessed in how he acts, but just kind of an understood aspect of Bill is that I imagine he has to be a very tolerant and compassionate person, because I know that he deals with somebody that I dealt with for a long time, and I was not tolerant and compassionate. And we didn't always hit it off perfectly, but Bill really is. You can tell around Mackie, he is just one of the most tolerant, compassionate people, and I think that's what makes him just a perfect fit for her. It's really hard to find people like that, and when you do, you know. And that's what makes Bill great. The other stuff's pretty cool too. Anyways, that's the things I like about Bill. Hope you enjoyed it. Bill, continue being a really good person so I don't look bad a couple years from now. Now I'm going to go on to the things I like about Mackie. Now, I've known Mackie for a long time. Just about as long as I've known anybody else. Except for my parents, the Admiral and Batches. I made this metaphor last night, and I think it's perfect and accurate. You guys can be the judge. We're very different people, but we're not oil and water. We are matches and lighter fluid. We both have our uses. Sometimes when you put us together, it was an explosion and it wasn't good. Sometimes it was a lot of fun, which is why we're here today. And honestly, when I think back about it, and Mackie wrote me a little card yesterday, and I read through it, and she had the exact same memories that I always think of. There's probably 5 or 6 of them. I only remember the really good times, the really fun times we had. She was really my first friend, and up through the time I went to college, we were close, and we understood each other, and I knew more about Mackie than she knew about herself. Unfortunately, I knew how to set her off a little bit. But we had a lot of fun, too. So, I'll always remember, those first 18 years of just having a great time with Mackie. I try not to remember the other stuff quite as much, where my dad would just come up to me and go, "God damn it, Chris." But it did happen. The other thing you know about Mackie, and I think everybody in this room probably recognizes this right away, she's really, really good with people. She's really, really good with kids. My kids love her probably almost as much as they love Scoots, and slightly more than they like me, which is great. Again, it's like when they come over, it's a special occasion. But other people too, I hear this all the time. It's like, "That's your sister?" They're kind of shocked. And it's like, "She's really nice. Wow, I really love her." Which I find a little disrespectful, but at the same time, I'm very proud of Mackie. And she is really good with people and very likable, and they're both just very easy to be around. If you have a problem being around Kelly or Bill, come hang out with me. But the last thing I try to think of, the one word to define kind of my relationship, I don't call her Mackie. We're pretty familiar at this point. I came up with this nickname for a long time ago, and I don't know what it means. But the one word that describes my relationship and how I think about Mackie is respect. I think Mackie has been through a lot of tough times, and a lot more than I can understand, and always has persevered and come through it a better person. And to know Mackie growing up and to see her here today, after seeing some of the stuff that she's been through, it's just, I have nothing but respect for her as a person. She is an incredible person, and she deserves another incredible person like Bill. I didn't probably deserve that. I got somebody kind of like that, but it's not because of anything I did. But she's worked very hard to get where she is today and overcome some stuff that I just can't comprehend. And I truly, truly respect her as a person. She wrote in her letter that we've grown apart. I don't think we've grown apart. We've gone down our paths, very different paths. But at the end of the day, all my sisters and my family, I have respect for all of them in different ways, and we'll never grow apart. We're still very close. I see them a lot and talk to them a lot, and I respect what they're all doing for different reasons. Now, that's the end of that section. This is probably the most important section, and the reason I'm here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about marriage. As you know, I think one of the reasons they asked me here today is because they consider me an expert on marriage. I've been married for nearly 10 years, and I've done a pretty good job at it, depending on who you ask. Mostly if you just ask me. But really, as I said at the beginning, marriage is just a legal recognition of what you guys already have. You guys have been together 5 years, I believe. And after a year or two, you could tell you guys knew each other, and it is what it is at that point. This is not going to change anything. There are 3 things that will change. Tomorrow you'll wake up, you'll be wearing a little more jewelry. Your cat, Norm, will be giving you a few less displeased looks about your relationship. That's why they call him Judgy Norm. And of course, you'll both be hyphenating your last name, as we discussed right before this. All 3 parts of it. So that's the only things that are going to change, though. I consider it, you guys are in a relationship, which is very important. And as we all know, the meaning of the word relationship, the first part of it is relatio, which nobody knows what it means. And the second part is ship, which means boat. Now obviously, you have to treat your relationship like a boat. I don't have anything else to add to that part. Just want to give you a little background on some word meanings. Give you a little street cred on my knowledge. But really, all relationships are difficult and all of them are rewarding. We've had our difficult times. Me and Bill never had difficult times yet. I gave Bill a ukulele one year for Christmas. Said he was the best gift he ever got for Christmas. But really, I think what's important in a relationship, number one, you guys obviously both have, which is you understand each other's sense of humor. I don't always understand it either, which is pretty weird. But you guys seem to just click. It's like a comedy duo sometimes, and maybe we don't always get it, but it's beautiful. And I wish my wife understood any of my humor the way that you guys understand each other's humor. And I think that's a key to your relationship and keeping it strong and going forward. Always come back to that. If you ever have difficult times, just remember how funny you each are. But the other part that I think is important to relationships, and I wrote down compromise, but I think that's the wrong word. I crossed it out and I put acceptance. Because what you have to do at some point is accept the other person for who they are and not expect them to change and not let them expect you to change. There's going to be times when she's going to do something that you're like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this. And you'll realize, oh yeah, that is kind of what Mackie does. And the quicker you can come to that realization and realize that this is the person I married, this is the person I got in a relationship with, that's when you'll learn how to accept that and move forward with that and just do your best to play your part, vice versa. Anyways, that's all I have to say about marriage. That ends my intro. That is the end of the sections. I hope you enjoyed each of them. We'll talk about them later. I have some more stories which could not be included in here. Those will be in the unedited version. So anyways, now we're on to the next part. Now Bill and Kelly have asked their cousins, Katie Friend, nope, I messed it up again, their friend, Katie Cousins, to read a short essay by one of their favorite authors.